Welcome back to the Prettiest podcast. I'm your host, Sydney.
And I'm your hostess, Kim.
Today, we have a very special guest, our matriarch, Cherly Oliver. Welcome.
Thank you. What a pleasure to be here.
So glad to have you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Kim.
We're happy for you to be
I am
here,
glad
Mom.
and excited about you all's podcast.
Perfect.
So being that I know my mom was raised on Pretty Is as Pretty Does, so would you share with everyone what it means to you, Pretty Is as Pretty Does?
Sure. It was pretty much drilled into my head throughout my whole life. Mm-hmm. If we were out shopping and somebody said, "Oh, Miss Oliver, you have such beautiful girls," she'd say, "Pretty is as pretty does." And, so I really, because of that, I didn't really think I was that cute. I thought my personality kind of got me through life because there were two exceptionally beautiful girls in my neighborhood. I thought they were beautiful. I thought I was average. My mother didn't have to tell me that. I thought she and my sister were beautiful, but I didn't necessarily think I was. So she could have been talking to anybody saying pretty is as pretty does, but it must have meant something since I shared it with you and instilled it in you the same way
Yes.
that my mother drilled it in me.
And your mother drilled it in me, too.
Yeah.
So I had double dose of it. So it's so funny because I've heard you share a story about your sister Diane. Can you talk about her posture and how she carried herself?
Yeah, she was definitely an inspiration.
Right.
She made it a point to sit up straight. When she walked down the street, Miss Goodwin would be at her window washing dishes, and she'd say, "Look at Diane, walking down there all straight and tall." And so we would try to do that. We would try to walk down the street all straight and tall. And another thing she did, she would put a book on her head to help balance and give her that poise.
Right.
So, of course, me and my friends, we emulated her.
Exactly.
We get the book, put it on our head and walk around. But I don't know that we ever looked as good as she did or got what she got, but we sure tried.
Do you know why posture was so important to her?
I have no idea.
Yeah, because it's now, when you think about it, our posture is so bad. We're always slumped over on our phone or typing on a computer.
Right.
It's not like that anymore. So it's I'm just curious to know what it was then to make people reminded.
And we had piano lessons too.
Okay.
I had to sit straight
That is
at
so
the piano. I would win typing contests because I could type fast, so I had to sit up straight. So I guess I kind of used it without knowing it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. And that's true because you think about the piano lessons, you're just on a stool. So I forgot about that piece. We were taught to sit up straight, even though I don't have the best posture, but I try to because of my mother.
I think you have now.
I think I
you
have
developed
improved.
it.
Yes, I've developed it because I've not always had good posture. But I think with Diane too, and Bubby, they were just so ladylike. Yes, right.
Yes.
I don't think I ever saw my grandmother without a dress on. I don't know. Did she wear pants?
No.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that you can't be pretty and wear pants because you can.
That just wasn't her style of her generation.
That's it's a generational thing. Right. But just dressed so nice and pretty and elegant. Were you allowed to wear pants?
When I was, jeans were the only pants we had, and we could wear them on Saturdays.
Oh.
When I went to
See,
college,
that's different.
we could wear jeans on Saturdays.
Wow.
It just was not proper to wear jeans unless you were around the house. You didn't really go out in jeans.
Really?
You were going out somewhere, you put on...
A dress?
Probably.
Or a skirt, I guess?
Yeah. But in school, elementary school, I don't remember pants.
Did you wear uniforms?
No.
Okay.
It was a public school.
Okay.
But it was just what you wore. You had Sunday shoes that you wore to church.
Yeah.
You had school shoes, usually Buster Brown.
Wow.
I don't think they make them anymore. And then you had a pair of tennis shoes that you wore on Saturday. you walk to the activities in
Wow.
your tennis shoes
Yeah.
and jeans, baby.
Exactly.
Right. I'm just curious if you know, I know you know your grandmother, Bubby's mother, but where did Bubby get Pretty Is as Pretty Does from? Like, who taught it to her?
I wouldn't know.
Okay.
Can't answer that.
Seems like a thing that maybe she came up with.
It may have been, and that's what I'm wondering, was
Yeah.
that, you know.
She was in her sister's, she had one sister, Johnsy, that was exceptionally beautiful. Well, I mean, when she was young, because when I met her, I thought my mother was the most beautiful. But Johnsy was supposed to be the most beautiful. Uncle Emery,
Yeah.
he was a player. People thought he was so fine. They would say that fine Dr. Rand.
Right.
And Esther, she was just within. She had beauty that she didn't pull out.
And I think she looked a
She
lot like
could,
my
yeah.
grandmother.
She could have looked more glamorous,
Right.
but she chose to shrink.
Got it.
She was the brainiest one. She was teaching her classmates. When she was 17, she was teaching her high school students.
Wow.
But her life was,
Wow.
she didn't live life.
Right. Right.
So maybe because of Aunt Johnsy and Uncle Emery, she could have decided, well, they're pretty, but I don't know about their behavior.
Oh, I see, yeah. Right.
So when you say, like when you talk about people shrinking, right? How would you tell people to pull that out? Like what would your advice be for somebody that feels like, oh, this person is beautiful, but I don't feel that I am? Like they don't let it out, like you just said about...
I would suggest that they create an affirmation, and it doesn't have to be but one, maybe add to it, but just concentrate on saying something positive to yourself. But you have to figure out what that is that's important to you.
Definitely.
And make it fit you. And I would say start off saying it throughout the day whenever you think about it.
Definitely.
And then after a while, it becomes a part of you.
Exactly, because once you repeat something, it sticks.
It just, you do it without even realizing it.
Exactly, and you start to believe it. I love that.
That is good. That is really good. And I just wonder how important it was to you to pour those things that you learned, into me as your only daughter. Like, why did you think it was important for me to learn about beauty coming from inside out?
Because I know how I felt about pretty girls with their nose up. To me, it took something away from them. I mean, it may not have taken anything away from other people.
Right.
But I just saw that as, I thought that person was really pretty, and then I got to know them, and I don't think so. But I think how you act has a lot to do with.
It can make you ugly.
And then I can remember a girl in college that was not pretty. But she was a senior when I was a freshman, so we weren't personal friends. But she was the most, there were a lot of beautiful girls in Hampton at that time. She was not pretty, but she was the most popular girl on campus, and she was a senior. And I found out, because I was like, what? She's the most popular one?
Right.
I was shocked, because I was used to the popular one being
Pretty.
And I found out as I watched her and was not around her intimately, but just around campus, her spirit was so beautiful
Yeah.
that nobody saw how she looked.
Oh, wow. I love it.
And so I think that taught me another lesson.
That's powerful.
That is.
And that's so important because it's not about how you look on the outside. It's about how you treat people. And beauty truly is from the inside out.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times there are stereotypes because, oh, you look like this, you automatically think you're cute.
Oh,
And that's so unfair. Like, I have been judged just because I'm light skinned. I can't help that. Okay, it's how God made me.
and I expected to have a brown little girl.
That's funny. But because I'm a light skinned person with long hair, people expect me to be a snob. No, why? Like, that's so unfair.
Yeah.
But it's just one stereotype, and because of how I look, there were other girls of our race that did not like me, So there's different. We talk about racism, but then we also talk about racism within our own color in terms of being African American. And it's like, that is so unfortunate because none of us can help how we look, but we can help how we act.
Exactly.
We can help how we act.
And we can choose our thoughts.
Right. We can definitely choose our thoughts. So that's really, really deep and important. How do you think you help those young girls and young adult women that do not have someone in their home pouring into them the importance of Pretty Is as Pretty Does? Like, do they just learn it from other family members? Where do you learn it from?
Things like this podcast, you have to make an effort to reach them. Things like we did with the school board chair, Stephanie Sneed.
On yesterday, yes.
With those black girls.
What's
I
the
was
tea?
so moved with that program and what
Yes.
those girls had to say.
It was
I think
amazing.
we're already beginning to address it.
Definitely.
But if it could get a bug like what happened, you can tell the name of the program.
It was called What's the Tea on yesterday.
And
It was amazing.
It was really good.
And it was real talk.
It was
And,
down to
and
earth.
young girls were sharing.
Genuine.
And it was
Very genuine. And just, I think a lot of it is feeling comfortable to be vulnerable
Exactly.
and willing to share. And you know what? Sometimes you have to stop and say, I need a mentor. Where can I go to get help on this?
Exactly.
And, access. That's something that I didn't always have. But today's generation, if you get a good mentor, just other community members, there's tons of access.
Oh my gosh,
but you have to be willing to ask for it, be willing to be open-minded and talk about it and accept the help.
And you have to know you need it. Some people don't know what they need.
That's very true.
So we have to figure out a way to let, maybe the young girls can tell other young girls.
That is so true.
That would probably work.
Very true.
Definitely. So on our podcast, we talk a lot about self-love, self-reflection, self-esteem, and different things like that. So of those topics, what do you think, I know they're all very much essential, but how would you rank those?
I would say faith is, before you undertake anything,
Exactly.
you're not going to be able to do it without faith or do it successfully.
Definitely.
I would say find a way to be positive. Sometimes being positive means letting go of negative people.
That's true.
Definitely.
I would say whatever it takes that you have to do, and it may be a process to get negative people out of your life.
That's true.
But I'd say faith, positive. Spiritual has helped me, but I don't know that it'll help everybody.
Right.
Having a connection.
Right.
Just figuring out what works
That's
for you,
good.
right? That's good.
Those are great three. Three options there.
Exactly.
So if they focus hard, I don't think they can lose.
Right. And just like yesterday, one of the teenagers, I think 15 years old, she shared how she learned that self-love is so, so important. So just in terms of adding that to that list, because you have got to love yourself. You've got to. It starts with that as well.
Exactly.
And that can be hard.
It can. Then that could also be a process. Just learning how to love yourself. And what you just said, okay, let's give ourselves an affirmation once a day. Say it all day. And then you start believing it.
Exactly.
Write it down.
And that is
You start
powerful,
believing
writing
it.
things down. That is very
Definitely.
important.
Right.
Because through the years, when I've written things down and maybe find it a year or two later,
Right.
80% of it has come true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At least,
Right. It's powerful.
It really
It
is.
It is
really
powerful.
is.
So if it didn't come true that time, write it down again.
Again.
That's right. You got to put it out there to use.
Yes. Keep
Yeah.
writing it. Keep writing it.
Absolutely.
Keep writing it.
So I want to move into neighbors and other stories. For those of you that may not know, my mother's late sister, Diane Oliver, we've actually published her book. She was a writer. She attended UNCG. Let me back up. She attended West Charlotte High School. Then she went to what was called the Women's College, later on named UNCG, University of North Carolina at Greensboro. And then she was accepted into a very prestigious school, Iowa's Writers Workshop. So just wanting to share that this is the book. It's on Amazon. But just the fact that Aunt Diane published maybe 4 short stories before her untimely death in 1966 when she was 22 years old. But the fact that my mother kept all of her trunk full of short stories. And we were contacted by a literary agent in England, London, England, for the stories. And today this is what we have. So it's just so amazing that Aunt Diane's legacy still lives on. We talked about her at the beginning of the show. But she was a brilliant writer, and so brilliant that we have quotes from Oprah Daily, New York Times. I mean, she was just nominated last month for an NAACP Image Award. And though she did not win, just the fact that this little black girl from McCrory Heights in Charlotte was nominated is just so powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful.
To me, she won.
Exactly. She's been winning.
Exactly.
I mean, she has been winning. There have been lots of awards. But how does this feel, just having this memoir, just full of all the stories that she wrote before her death at 22?
It is so surreal because I typed those stories.
Wow.
I helped Bubby organize them. And so reading them, seeing it in print now, it's a miracle.
Right.
It is surreal,
Right, it is.
exciting. I'm speechless, really, because there are no words
Right.
of how I can explain how I feel to see
feeling.
that publication.
Right. It's amazing. The stories are excellent. And a lot of these stories are about people in the neighborhood, people in the city, you know, so
family.
I love we are people in our family, so I like read them and I try to figure out who is she talking about right here.
Exactly. Really interesting.
So thank you for sharing your wisdom and pretty is as pretty does
And what that means.
and what that means, how it came about, and the fact that it was also drilled into you,
Exactly.
drilled into me.
Drilled into me.
That's right.
Well, I do believe Bubby was the originator.
I believe that as well.
I think she set that standard.
Right.
I definitely believe that.
For whatever reason, we may never know.
Right, that's true.
But I
And you
think
know
it
what?
was her.
It could have been from an experience that she had. I mean, we don't know. You know.
Exactly.
Something must have really happened to make her feel that strongly about
Right.
it.
I
Yes,
agree. I
definitely.
totally agree. Right. Well, thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you for allowing
the
me to be a
Matriarch.
part.
Thank you.
I love it.
This
Thank
was amazing.
It
So
was.
It was. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
we appreciate it. And we will see you all next time. Thank you
Yes.
for joining us on the Prettiest podcast.
See you next season.
Bye-bye.